Hi everyone, my name is Sarah and today is Tuesday, which means it's time to discuss our book of the week, which is Gentlest of Wild Things by Sarah Underwood. First, this is a spoiler-free section, so if you haven't read this book yet, don't worry about it, it won't be spoiled for you here. There will be some spoiler-related things I want to discuss, but that'll be later on in the video and you will get plenty of warning. If you'd like to join in any of the discussions, send me your thoughts, comments, or even a short video clip of you discussing the book, then I'll list the next upcoming 4 books in the description below. So I rated this book 3.5 stars, and if I'm honest, it's probably closer to 3. I didn't hate it, it was fine, it's just it was a little bit underwhelming overall. The concept is strong, it's inspired by myths, and it has some interesting ideas on survival, sacrifice, and power. On paper, it probably should have worked for me, but in reality, it just felt like it was lacking something. Okay, so quick summary. This book follows Irene, who offers herself in place of her sister when a powerful ruler chooses her twin as his next bride. In order to take her sister's place, she must complete a series of tasks, but things become more complicated when she forms a connection with the ruler's daughter Lamia. It blends myth-inspired storytelling with trials and romance and themes of loyalty and sacrifice. If I had to compare this to any other book, I'd probably say that it has a similar kind of vibe to something like Bewitched or Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. It's that lighter, slightly cozier sort of fantasy, but it just, I don't know, it didn't have the depth that I personally was looking for. I definitely liked the concept, this idea of completing the trials, sacrificing oneself for a sibling, as well as the mythological inspiration. It definitely had a lot of potential, and there were certainly a lot of elements that should have created more tension and emotional stakes. I also liked the inclusion of LGBTQ representation. It is always something that I like to see, especially in fantasy. For me, the biggest issue was the lack of depth. The characters didn't feel particularly layered, and because of that, I didn't really connect to them or feel invested in what was happening. Irene in particular wasn't a character I enjoyed following all that much. I mean, I love a strong female main character, but I don't know, she just felt self-centered and unnecessarily harsh rather than strong in a way that made me root for her. There was also a central relationship in the story that just didn't really work for me. I didn't feel the chemistry or the emotional connection. And because of that, the emotional core of the story, which relied pretty heavily on that relationship, just didn't fully land. For me, another issue was the lack of tension. I mean, I just felt like the challenges and the trials didn't have enough high stakes, so I never really got that sense of urgency or danger, and it just made the story feel like it lacked momentum. Like, it almost felt a bit anticlimactic. Things were happening, but they just didn't carry the weight that it should have. Even the side characters felt sort of surface level. I mean, Irene's sister Phoebe she felt like a plot device rather than a fully fleshed out character. She was sort of just there to set the story in motion, and beyond that, there just wasn't really any depth. And that just added to the overall feeling that the story needed more substance. So, as for the question, would I recommend the book? I don't think I would go out of my way to recommend this book. That's not a hard no. It's just, I think there are a lot of other books in the genre that I would recommend first. I think if the concept does really appeal to you, then it might still be worth picking up, but for me, it just didn't fully deliver. And will I be reading any more by this author? I wouldn't say no. I think that the ideas are strong and I would be open to picking up another book by the author. It's just not something that I'm going to rush into. So earlier on in the video, I said that you would get plenty of warning for any upcoming spoilers. Now this is that moment, so if you haven't read this book yet, I would suggest going doing that first, because beyond this point there will absolutely be spoilers. One of the biggest challenges for me was just that The challenges never really felt that impactful. Like, they're meant to be significant, dangerous, and defining, and yet they just never really felt like that big of a deal. The emotional weight, the tension, it just wasn't really there, so it fell a little bit flat. Also, the relationship between Irene and Lamia just never really worked for me. I didn't feel any chemistry there, and so the emotional payoff just wasn't as strong as it could have been. And a part of that, I think, for me, was how the dynamic was introduced, because Lamia was sheltered, she's naive, she felt like a much younger character, whereas Irene had a much harsher background, and it created this disconnect that I couldn't get past. Like, it just sort of felt like Irene was more of a mother figure for Lamia, a potential for a familial bond rather than a romantic one, so it just came across a little weird. I also struggled with Irene's character. Even by the end, I didn't really feel that connected to her, so I don't know, it just made it a lot harder for me to care about the outcome. And while the ending wasn't bad, it did feel a bit predictable and anticlimactic, especially considering the setup. So overall, Gentlest of Wild Things is a book with a good, strong concept. It just didn't fully deliver for me. It wasn't bad, it was just fine. And sometimes I think that that's almost more frustrating because you can see the potential, but it just doesn't quite reach it. But if you've read it, let me know what you thought, especially if you connected with it more than I did. So next week we'll be discussing The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros. So don't forget to get your thoughts and comments in by Sunday the 19th of April at the latest to be a part of the discussion. You can now do this on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram or Discord. The following week will be Love Letters to a Serial Killer, but don't forget, if you do need a little bit longer to read a book, we do now list the next 4 books down below along with the discussion dates. That way you can choose the genre that best suits you and the best time frame to read it in. Thank you all for joining, and if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, it's always appreciated, and I will see you next week. Bye! If you like romance, fantasy, or even thriller, basically anything fiction book related, then I suggest you head on over to the channel's intro video, where you can find out more information on how you can take part in this online book club. We announce books at least 4 weeks in advance, and we accept your bookish feedback in a wide manner of ways. Post your comment below a video, send in a voice note, or even send me a short video clip of you discussing the book. Alternatively, you can just send me a direct message.